What's happening, guys? Christopher Ohms here. Today we're going to go way back in time to when I first started building. Now, what I first started with, and we're going to do some real basic stuff. On this video, I'm going to do a single core Clapton, both with and without the benefit of swivels. When I first started building, I would get 30 feet of 24 gauge Canthal on a roll, and I would wrap that 5 times around a 3mm bit, literally a drill bit. The thing that did is it taught me how to wrap pretty good because I wanted to make sure they were tight together. So it got me used to the feel of the wire, because I did that for a while before I started to consider using a drill or anything like that. I moved from that to 22 gauge stainless steel. I was just blown away by flavor. And then I moved to nichrome 80 and 90 and stuff like that. So my first drill experience was, of course, with 24 gauge nichrome. Well, actually it's 24 gauge Canthal. This is nichrome 80. So I'm going to kind of show you how I started making single core Claptons. It may look funny, but you can do it without swivels. So I'm going to show you first without a swivel, and you can decide if you want to go to the store and spend $2 on some swivels and get a setup going, because I'm pretty sure you're going to want to. Now, there's a guy called either Ghost or The Ghost on YouTube. He's a French-Canadian dude, and he builds everything with just a drill. No swivels, none of that. He builds just some absolutely amazing builds. Oh yeah, I digress. Let's move on here. So, I'm just going to get just about enough I need for one coil for doing this, and you're going to see why here in a second. So about 4 to 6 inches. 6 inches is a comfortable spot to be. So there's 6 inches of wire, 24 gauge. I stretch it. I haven't stretched 24 in a while. And that straightens it. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Is to straighten the wire is to stretch it. So I'm going to do that again. Now, I'm going to do the same thing, cut off about 6 inches or so. Okay, I'm not going to stretch it this time. I'm going to show you a different method for straightening wire. And of course, among builders, this is one of the debates that goes back and forth, which is better. So you can straighten wire by simply twisting it in your drill, spinning it in your drill. So let me get that set up here. So, got a piece of wire. I don't know if you can see it. It's all bent. It's just how it comes off the roll. I take and I just bend over, just like I do everything at a 90. Just bend it over to 90 degrees, about 1/4 of an inch. That's all. Now, I don't have anything else because I'm a brand new builder. I've never done this before. So all I have is my drill and its chuck. Now, most chucks are divided in 3 sections like that. So all I'm going to do is take this wire, center it in the chuck, stick that piece up through the top, clamp it down. Done. So this is what you're left with. Okay, now you see that little piece sticking up at the top there? Can you see that? That little piece of wire? What you do now, what I have right now, because this is just gonna, I'm straightening right now. Let me back up a minute. So, I've got it in the drill. I'm just gonna hold it with my toothless pliers or a pair of pliers, whatever you have, to grab that in and spin it real quick. A couple times, 3 times, you're done. You got a nice straight wire. So, at this point, I have my core wire ready to go. We're ready to make a Clapton. What I've done, and what I used to do, you see that wire on the table there, that's 36 gauge nichrome 80, just a 36 gauge fuse wire. And I drove a screwdriver down through the center of it and set it in my desk so the wire moves around. Now, we're gonna Clapton in a clockwise motion. So it's called Claptoning on a single core. When you get two cores together, it's called a fuse. So I'm going to utilize, remember that little piece of wire that was sticking out? I'm going to take my Clapton wire and just wrap it around there a couple times. People have different methods to attach this. This is just how I always did it. I think I saw it from Squid Dude first. And I usually just bend it over in the way I wrapped it, just to make it so that doesn't come off. Now you're going to want to start this at a slow speed. The trick to this is keeping your Clapton wire in between your finger and your thumb, pinch it just like you do anything else, and get it started. Start slow. You want to be in a low speed. Okay, you see that wire flopping around? It's going to do that. Now, you can adjust it a little bit, but it's going to get worse. So you want to get, slowly, you want to get out far enough from that chuck so you're not catching your finger on a little bent piece of wire. And you want your hand up under that Clapton wire because it's going to flop around, okay? So, finger and thumb tight on your Clapton wire and start Claptoning. Now you can see how the Clapton wire goes. You just want to keep it tight together. Try and keep it at a 90-degree angle. Now I've got a good starter Clapton going, so I'm going to go ahead and get a little faster. And there you go. This is all you have to do to Clapton with no swivels. Now right now, my Clapton wire off the spool is just spinning around that screwdriver, so it makes it real easy. You don't have to pay attention to it, it's just doing it. Okay, see, I just backwound. If it starts backing up, just stop, reverse your drill, and pull it out. There you go. And start again. And that's it. And you can keep your wire stable with your hand, just like I'm doing. And this is how I used to make Claptons and fuse Claptons before I got swivels. That's plenty of wire right there for a coil. Now, just cut your Clapton wire off. And here's a trick that dawned on me one day. Because when you go to wrap these single core Claptons, that fuse wire will come right off. And you'll be pissed because it takes a minute to learn how to do this. So, on the very end, crimp down. Crimp that Clapton wire to the core. Both ends. Bam. Now you cut just past your crimp. And bang. That'll help you wrap without it pulling off. And there is your single core Clapton. 5 wraps, you do 2 of them, you got a really nice vape. So that's without swivels, okay? So we're gonna do another one with swivels, and you're gonna see that, well, it's just basically different. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to learn with swivels, but I figured I'd throw that swivelless method out there just in case you don't have swivels. It's a pain in the ass to go to the store. You want to make a damn Clapton or a fused Clapton. You can do it without swivels. So now this time, we're going to do enough for 2. About a foot. 10 inches to a foot. I stretch wire to straighten it because it's faster. People argue about which is better, which is worse. I've tried both ways. I've never noticed a difference, so I guess I don't get that technical with it. So we'll get rid of our setup out of our chuck, that little piece of metal, and we'll do basically just the same thing. Bend the end of your wire about 1/4 inch to 90. Center it in your chuck. Clamp it down. Now, on this end, on your swivel end, because you've got your swivel set up over here, you want to come in about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch and bend this almost all the way over. Okay? I don't know if you can see that. Bend it almost all the way over. Let me turn you a bit. And you can kind of see, this is an extender I use because I don't like to be shoved up against my swivels. So, all you do, slide that in your swivel. Just pretend that's a swivel. And literally, man, you can order really great swivels. They're called Crocs, Kroks, and they're cheap. I mean, they're really cheap and they're really good. A lot of amazing builders use them. All I do is I just twist this together. So you get a couple twists in it, and it won't come apart. Now, when doing single core stuff, after messing with it, it gets a little wonky, meaning not as straight as you want it. So, just straighten it. Done. And we're going to do the same thing. Put that little nipple that's sticking up your wire up top so you can wrap your wire. This time, we have a spool. Now, if you're working left to right like I do, your wire is going to come off the right side. Sometimes it'll be backwards like this depending on the maker of the wire, but your wire will come up on your right if you work left to right. Reverse it for right to left. So, just grab it. Wrap it around that little nipple again. He said nipple. Bend it over and you're good to go. Now your spool is attached. Same principle. Let me change these batteries real quick. Same principle here. You want to start slow until you see that your Clapton is staying nice and tight. And again, these are just how I do things. Take what I offer and make it your own. Come up with your own ways that make it comfortable for you. If you come up with 10 inches of wire that's got a nice tight Clapton on it, and you did it a totally different way, cool. End result's the end result. You want a decent wire, that's all. So now, these will bounce on you. And what I mean is this wire will bounce because of the oils and crap on your fingers. A lot of guys put a little Ziploc baggie over it to eliminate that. I just wet my fingers a little bit. So I start slow and I angle to my swivel side so I can get my Clapton started. And there, I'm on my wire. Now I can watch what's happening right here, and you can see it. You can see the Clapton form. And you can adjust forward or back. You just don't want to make big adjustments. But if it does backwind on you, reverse your drill, take the backwind out. If you start staggering or spacing, stop, reverse your drill, get back to where you're a good Clapton. So, you want to try and stay at 90 degrees, maybe just a little ahead, but not much. And the faster you Clapton, the faster you get used to Claptoning, the better Clapton you get. So see, there's a couple ways to fix. If you get a little gap, fixed. I just slid the fuse wire back. It's not a big deal. Now I tend to fuse where I angle just a bit back towards my drill. It helps to keep the fuse nice and tight. Apparently my batteries are getting bad because this is a freshly charged battery and it's going slow. Okay, so we're going to show a backwind here. There, it backwound. How you do? Reverse your drill. There you go. Now, there's going to be a little curve if you backwind. Your fuse wire, your lead wire, your fuse wire is not going to be as pristine as it was. So you can just take it and run your fingernail up it, and it'll take out all the little imperfections that it had. Okay, and that is absolutely enough to make two single core, 24 gauge core, 36 gauge fuse coils. 5 millimeters, 5 times. I don't know the numbers, I don't know the resistance or anything. It's been forever since I've done these. And here's the other thing. Just like I clamped that first one when it was a single, I do the same thing when I do doubles. Clamp one end, clamp the other, and then I eyeball it and put a nice fat clamp roughly in the middle. Cut past where I clamped, and then I cut right about where I clamped, and bam, there's your two single core Claptons. That's it. Wrap them up. I've got a video on fuse wrapping techniques and a couple specialized tools that I use, basically hemostats. But they make wrapping single core Claptons so much easier if you can clap down and lock on each end before you wrap it. So check that out. It's on my channel. That's it for the real first loosely termed exotic coil that I ever built. And I literally stuck with the swivelless method for entirely too long until I finally set up you need a piece of wood, some fishing swivels, and a clamp to clamp the wood on, and some screws to screw the swivels on, and you're set up a basic swivel setup. So I'm sure there's a bunch of those on YouTube that you can find. So anyway, that's it. If you liked it, hit like. If you didn't, thanks for watching. And hit me up on Facebook, Christopher Ohms, on Messenger if you have any questions. I'm on a Facebook page here, that Coil Magicians, I think is what it's called. And I'll make sure I know it for sure in the next video. But check that page out if you're a new builder. Lots of talented builders on there that are definitely happy to give advice. Coil Wars is another page that Lots of great builders on there that definitely are very knowledgeable, give advice. And if you want to hit me on Messenger, please do. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Peace, y'all.